Hi bestie, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Brianna and today we are going to be doing my little monthly reading wrap up / reading updates of the books that I have read off camera recently. As always, if you want to see all of the books that I have read in the last 4 to 5 weeks, you're gonna have to go check out my reading vlogs. Everything is always spoiler free, of course, but I like doing this little sit down video, so it's kind of like a wrap up, but just reading updates of the books that I read off camera. Because I find that if I do a whole monthly reading wrap up of every single book, even the ones that I've read, in those reading vlogs, it's really repetitive because I give you my full thoughts, my full review, everything in those reading vlogs. Let's just get into the video. I have 7 books that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm not going to talk about them in a particular order, like least favorite to favorite or favorite to least favorite. I'm just going to jump in. The first book is Fall I Want. I'm going to go ahead and insert a picture of this one because I read it on Kindle Unlimited. I don't know why, but in August, I was just already getting into such a fall mood. I'm honestly over summer. I was over summer at the beginning of August, so I was like, I really need a fall read because nothing else sounded good, and I found this one on Kindle Unlimited and I was like, okay, let's download it and see how it goes. And when I tell you I binged this book, I literally read it in under 24 hours. It just sucked me in. It did exactly what it needed to do. It got me out of that slumpy feeling I was having. So let's talk about it a little bit. This book is about autumn. Yes, I know, kind of like, okay, so that's where we're starting off with this book, whatever. Like, you just know if it's a fall themed book and the main character's name is Autumn, yeah, you're gonna be in for kind of like a cringy time, but just good vibes, okay? I promise you. Autumn lives in this super small town, born and raised there, and she is a barista at the cafe there. And one day, in walks Alex. Now, Alex is really grumpy. He doesn't get off on the right foot with Autumn because she supposedly makes his coffee wrong. Autumn really wants nothing to do with him, but he is kind of like determined to befriend her, which I thought was kind of weird because he was the one who like complained about her in the first place, so I was like, why would he even want to befriend her? But whatever, you just have to stick with it, okay? So Autumn and Alex do start to form a friendship, and also in that friendship comes a bit of romance. Alex is a billionaire. His family owns like the ski resort that is in the town that Autumn's from. So he is just spoiling our girl. And it does feel a bit love bomby at first, but the book also points this out, and literally in like Autumn's head, she's like, is he love bombing me? And then Alex brings it up later and he's like, I'm not trying to love bomb you. I just like have more money than I know what to do with, and I care about you, so I want to spoil you. So while they're friends, while they start dating, they do all these fun fall activities. It just really gets you in that fall mood, that fall mindset. And there is a hint of like magical realism and fantasy in this book as well, because Alex's sister has these like visions, like she can see the prophecy. So she knows what is going to end up between Autumn and Alex. I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it got me out of a slump. It got me into that fall mood, and I gave it a 4-star rating, like just based on the vibes alone. Is it the best writing I've ever read? No, definitely not. But it's also like not bad. It's just, I would say, like average writing. I loved the banter. I loved the fall setting. It was also dual POV, which I love in romance books, especially when it's kind of like Grumpy Sunshine, because it's nice to see inside of both their heads, both their perspectives. And there is quite a bit of spice. I will warn you about that if you're not someone who likes spicy books. I know this cover looks super cute and innocent, like cartoon covers get us all. Yeah, this was really sweet. I really like Autumn and Alex together, and this is one that I definitely recommend picking up if you just want like a fun, thoughtless fall read. It is definitely the perfect palate cleanser between all your fantasy fall reads. The next books I am going to talk about is A Promise of Peridot and then A Reign of Rose. This is book 2 and then book 3 of the Sacred Stones trilogy. The first book is A Dawn of Onyx, which I read in my Read It or Unhaul It video. I really enjoyed that book. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5-star rating, and I immediately knew once I finished it I was going to want to continue the trilogy, so that's what I did. Obviously I can't tell you too much about these two books because it would be spoilers of what happens in the first book. So I'll try to tell you a little bit while not giving anything away. Let me just start out with saying I love this trilogy. I have not loved a romantasy series like I have this one in a hot minute. They were close to being 5 stars, but I do like other books better than them. 4 stars is still an amazing rating. Like, I love a book if I gave it 4 stars. 5 stars is just like one of my favorite books of all time. So these were close. These were definitely good. So a little bit about Dawn of Onyx is it follows Arwen. She has these magical healing powers, and she is kidnapped by the Onyx Kingdom and taken prisoner to be their healer in the Onyx Kingdom. While there, she makes acquaintance with the Onyx King, Cain, and her whole life Arwen has just heard like terrible stories about him, how he is this ruthless king. So she's really scared of him, but then she gets to know him and she's like, oh, he's really like not bad. And Arwen and the king end up spending a lot of time together because he's trying to like show her around the kingdom because she is actually looking for a cure for her mother. So like, he's a pretty cool guy to help her out with that, right? There's this whole prophecy. There is like this war going on between all the kingdoms. It's very intense, and Arwen plays a key role in this prophecy and in this war. There's a little bit of enemies to lovers. Honestly, like nothing too extreme. There's really like not any spice scenes directly. There's like spicy things happening, but not like, you know, the real deal. Book 1 ended up on a huge cliffhanger, so I needed to start this one immediately. And like I said, the tension, the banter, the yearning, everything was so good in this one. It's following Arwen as she is discovering more about herself and this prophecy and what it means for her and her future and literally everything about her entire life. I really like the magic system in these books. There are fae, there are so many other like magical creatures like witches, vampires, they call them a different name, but like there's so many magical creatures, and yeah, it's all really fun. They all have unique powers. It's very high stakes, very action packed, but also so much romance. And then this one also ended on a huge cliffhanger, and I didn't have this one, so I needed to order it immediately, and I was like, I don't know if I can wait the few days for this to come in because this one was absolutely insane. And then what I really liked about these two more than A Dawn of Onyx is these were dual POV. So we got Arwen and we got Cain's POV. Absolutely love that. This trilogy kind of gives me ACOTAR vibes with like Feyre being a mortal girl and then being taken into Prythian, into the Spring Court to stay with Tamlin, and how Tamlin's like showing her around the Spring Court and getting to know her better even though like Feyre thinks he's the enemy. Like that is totally Arwen and Cain in these books. I seriously recommend picking these ones up, you guys, if you need a good romantasy series. Next up, It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. So this book, when it came out, I immediately wanted to read it for the summertime because it just has a beautiful coastal cover. I knew it took place on the East Coast, but the synopsis always confused me. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who I'm supposed to root for because there's like 2 male main characters mentioned. And even when the book started, like, I don't know, however many pages in, like a good chunk into this book, I was still like, I don't know who the love interest is. I should tell you what it's about because I feel like the synopsis doesn't do a good job, so I'm gonna try and summarize my own synopsis. Okay, so the book follows Jane, who works in like movie production, and she was actually a childhood star on a show as well. So she is pitching a movie to her boss, and her boss says they need like a wow factor if they're gonna move forward with the movie that she is pitching. So trying to come up with something because honestly her job is in jeopardy if she doesn't get this movie made. She says that she is friends and in touch with this super popular singer because she knew him from when she was a childhood actress. The only thing is, she has not spoken to this person in like 20 years because she kissed him and then he like made fun of her. So she is going to try and track him down with the help of her coworker Dan. Now her and Dan do not get along whatsoever. They're always bickering. They never really like each other's ideas at work. They're just like mean and rude to each other all of the time. Dan is like, hey, come to the East Coast with me. My family is having a big party. You can stay with us and we can try and track down the singer. And Jane agrees to it, which, like, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if I have an arch nemesis at work, like someone I just hate so much at work, I would never, ever, ever agree to, like, go on a trip with them. And then also, I'd be like, oh, you want me to stay with your family that I've never met before when I don't even like you? Like, his family could be axe murderers for all she knows, and she's just agreeing? I don't know. She's supposed to be like this super smart but super funny and quirky female main character, and it's like, okay, that is not smart of her though. So one con about this book already. So majority of this book takes place when they're on the East Coast with Dan's family, and I think they have a week to track down the singer. And this whole time I didn't know. I was like, is she gonna try and like be with the singer again because they had history there, or are her and Dan gonna somehow end up together, which I did not see whatsoever because he just treats her so terribly. And I really was not rooting for him for, like, the entire book, basically. So that's my own little synopsis. I don't know. This is my 4th Annabelle Monaghan book. I have loved the other 3 books. My favorite is Nora Goes Off Script. This one, I think I'm gonna sit at, like, a 3-star rating. It took so long to get into. Like, you guys, this book took me 2 weeks to finish, and it's 300 pages. Yeah. 2 weeks is a really, really, really long time for me to finish a book. When, like I said, for fall I want finish that one in under 24 hours. I don't know how many hours are in 2 weeks, but it's a lot more than that. So it took a really long time to get into, just like the premise of the book, like that whole having to go and try and track down this singer on the East Coast. Like, it took so long just to get to that part. And then once we got to that part, it moved so slowly. Like, I don't even know when the romance was really, like, introduced. Maybe, like, halfway through the book. And did I love the romance? No. But the book definitely started getting better at that point. Like, I got to that point in the book, and I was like, okay, I am gonna try and finish this because I can actually keep my eyes open now, whereas before it was just putting me to sleep. I don't know, I don't like to bash on books, so I did annotate it, so I'll read you my annotations. I did blue for sad, yellow for happy, and then like the pinky orangey color for romance. This first one is blue. It says, I really thought I was going to be famous. The joke was always on me, but I made it work. But then I grew up. I keep trying and failing to be taken seriously. Everyone else seems to be leveling up, you know? Joke's still on me. Like, that is sad and that hits deep. Okay, that is a good quote. This one is romance. It says, through all of it, I clock the nearness of Dan. When I laugh, he leans in, not away. When he leans back in his chair, he places a hand on the back of mine. I try feeling just for a second of what it would be like to belong to him. Like, again, that is cute. And Annabelle Monaghan slaps with her, like, one-liners and quotes like this. Unfortunately, the story I just did not love overall, and I do feel like I didn't like this writing as much as her other books. Okay, and then this one was yellow. It just made me happy. It says, a bubbly kind of happiness floods my body as I watch him laugh with his brothers on stage. It feels good to want something for someone else, something that has nothing to do with you, just because you care about them. So overall, would I recommend this book? I don't know. Like, if it's your first Annabelle Monaghan, I definitely don't think you would like it. I would recommend her other 3 books, but yeah, I just don't know about this one. I feel like it could be hit or miss. I feel like there's gonna be some people very excited about this next one. Beartown. I know I'm super late to the game. I feel like everyone and their mother has read this book like years ago at this point. But you know what? I'm just gonna run around to it, okay? And I feel like some of the things I'm going to say are going to be a little bit unpopular opinions, maybe. I feel like I have a lot of thoughts about this book, but at the same time I feel like I don't have a lot of thoughts because I feel like Frederick Bachman does such a good job, like, articulating every single thought that you could possibly have while reading this book inside the book itself. This was my first Frederick Bachman book, and I really enjoyed his writing style. If you guys don't know what this book is about, Beartown is basically this tiny little town where basically all the town cares about is hockey. There's a juniors league, and then there's like the A-team league, and then there's also like the younger league as well. And I think when the book starts, it's almost the semi-final. So all these hockey boys, the whole town basically is preparing for the junior boys team semifinal. I'm just literally going to read the first page to you because I feel like that is enough in itself. It says, late one evening toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead, and pulled the trigger. This is a story of how we got there. So everyone in this town is hockey obsessed. Like literally, that is how the town makes their money, is from hockey. And even if a character doesn't play hockey themselves, they are like directly impacted by hockey because of who they're related to or who they're with, like anything like that. This book is third person POV, following so many characters. Like I don't even know how many. There are a lot of like core families or characters though. One of the families is the hockey team's general manager and his whole family, like his wife and his 2 kids. There's a son and then a daughter, Maya, who we see quite frequently with her best friend, Anna. And then there's a really, really wealthy family, and their son, Kevin, is like the star of the team. And there's a bunch of friends, there's a bunch of other hockey players, there's hockey coaches, there's school teachers, like you see everyone in this town. There is a scandal that comes about after the semifinal game, and that is really where the story starts picking up. Like I don't know when exactly that happens, but it does take a while to get there. Like I would say you have to give this book a good 100 pages at least to really get into it, and that's because you're just following all of these characters and families like in their mundane days. And then after the big scandal happens is when things really start heating up, and there's a lot of just tension overall in the town. Do I love that it took that long to get into? No, definitely not. I was quite bored during that time, definitely a slow start. Do I love how many characters we talk about? No, not so much, because genuinely I don't even know. I can't remember all these characters' names. If you give me a name, I might be like, who is that? Like, what did they do? Like, so there's definitely some characters that don't have much depth, but they're still, like, thrown around into the book. Do I love the ending? I'm kind of indifferent about the ending, but you know what? They say indifference is worse than hate, because at least you have, like, strong feelings, but when you're indifferent, you're just like, meh, take it or leave it, right? Will I be continuing the series? As of right now, I'm gonna say no. Now, don't get me wrong. I gave this book 4 stars. I'm probably between like 3.5 and 4 stars, but I just rated it 4 stars because it is really good. I do love the importance of the story. I'm not gonna say what it is because that would be a spoiler. I don't know. I just don't see why and how there could be 2 more books after this one, because there is a conclusion at the end. You know, you're not left off on a cliffhanger. You're left there thinking like, okay, that's what happened, that's the end. Like, I can accept the fact that that is the end of the book, right? And also you get this like time jump, like 10 years ahead, so you know what the characters are up to already 10 years in the future. So I'm just like, literally, what could the next 2 books be? Because if they go back to like the present when this one's taking place, it's like, I already know what's gonna happen to the characters in the future though. So yeah, I'm not sure. This book was also very, very frustrating to read because of the topic at hand and how it was handled in this town. Like, it just literally made me so angry. There were so many times I just wanted to like throw the book and not even pick it back up because it was frustrating. But like, that's how you know Frederick Bachman is a good author, if he can evoke that strong of emotion from you. So yes, it was a good book, but I do have a few complaints, just like being so long to get into the book and then so many characters, when I feel like we could have focused on some of the bigger characters for longer than just like throwing in the more minor characters. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to discuss this for book club to see what other people think. But yeah, I feel like my unpopular opinion that I was talking about earlier is that I don't really feel the need to continue the series. And everyone was telling me, they're like, you're gonna want the other 2 books on hand to read right away when you finish this one. And I'm just like, why? Literally, why is that necessary? I don't think it is. I definitely want to read more Frederick Bachman, and I would recommend this. We're getting down there. 2 books left. This is a small town cowboy romance. It's about Indy and West. They are childhood friends because West's family owns this big like campground resort. I don't know what is it called? Haven River Ranch. So not like a 5-star resort, you know, it's like out in the middle of nowhere. It is country living. So West and Indy were friends because Indy's family would go there every single year. And throughout the years and being friends, they have some romance spark between them. But then Indy's last time there, they have a huge falling out, basically like break up, and Indy never ever wants to go back to the ranch. But Indy actually ends up buying the ranch. So it's been a few years now. She hasn't seen West since her last time here. They are not very fond of each other because of where they left off years ago. But they have to work together because Indy is basically West's boss now, even though West is like, no, this is my family's ranch. Yeah, kind of dramatic there. And just to its core, this is a childhood friends to lovers second chance romance. I gave this one 3 stars, which I thought I would like it more because I read Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry and loved the writing. So I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna really like this writing, but it was just kind of meh. Like 3 stars is still good. I still enjoyed it, but it's not the best romance I've ever read, and it's not one I'm really gonna think about and gravitate toward. I think for being second chance and for West and Indy to have so much history between them and this chemistry, like there's really not enough tension. It feels like they just give in to each other right away, and that just did not feel satisfying whatsoever. So like what was supposed to be a bigger reveal at the end, I assume, I don't know if it was supposed to be a plot twist because I could see it coming from a mile away, but it was just like so obvious. I don't know, like I said, this one definitely wasn't my favorite. I feel like I honestly don't have a ton to say about it, which could be looked at as either good or bad. This is another one where it's like, I don't know if I would really recommend it. I would maybe recommend it to the right person, but unfortunately it didn't wow me. And the last book I have to talk about today is Forget Me Not. This was my book of the month pick for August, and I actually did a buddy read of it with my friend as well. This is a mystery thriller that follows our main character, Claire. Now, Claire's sister is presumed dead. She went missing like 20 years ago, I think it was. Claire goes back home, and while she's at home, she decides that she wants to investigate her sister's disappearance a little bit more. So she goes to work at this farm, and there she meets some shady characters. She's able to do some research into these people and into her sister's disappearance and kind of look for like closure that she never really got because, again, her sister is just presumed dead, but they never found remains or anything. And that's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want to spoil anything. Now, my thoughts and rating. I gave this 2 stars. This is my first book by this author, actually. And I don't think I'm going to read another one, at least for a while, because I really did not like the writing style whatsoever. There was so much being said while still saying nothing at all. And my friend who I did the buddy read with actually agrees with like everything I'm about to say. We both rated it 2 stars. There is no thrill, which for a mystery thriller, why is there no thrill? It literally feels like everything's so surface level. Like, the farm in the book, I can tell the author is trying to like make it come off as really sinister and make these characters come off really sinister, but it just does not come off that way. And then for the plot twists and reveal, I literally don't know how we got there. There is no foreshadowing. There's like no evidence whatsoever. It feels like the author did not know what she wanted to do, so she just threw something in at the end and was like, okay, this is this. That's how it happened. There we go. So it just does not feel well thought out. Did not have me on the edge of my seat for the entire thing, which again, for a mystery thriller, you would hope it has you on the edge of your seat, just like wanting to find out what happened. But unfortunately, that did not happen in this book. I was just so bored the entire time reading this book, honestly. It put me into a slump, and that is not a book that I would recommend. So those are all of my spoiler-free reviews for the books that I have read off camera lately. Make sure to comment your thoughts on these books if you have read them, because I would love to hear them and discuss them with you. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!